In the amendment process. Seeing none, I understand there's an amendment at the desk. Oh, Mr. Cloud, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize. Mr. Cloud from Texas for 5 minutes.
Well, in the true DC meeting maxim of everything's been said, but not everyone's said it, since I haven't said anything yet, I'll go ahead and mention it. But we've heard words about irrefutable evidence being presented, and, you know, I just have to say, I don't think that word means what you think it means. And there's a stark contrast, as been pointed out, between how the Democrats have investigated and how we investigated. They are opposed to a closed-door deposition, which they've held a number of times. As a matter of fact, during the impeachment hearings, I sat in the skiff along with others while they withheld the transcripts that they are worried about. And so oftentimes it seems like their motivations they're portraying their motivations on us, and that's just not the case. I remember sitting, for example, in one of the hearings, and one of the witnesses who worked at the White House was asked, did the president talk to you before coming here? And said, well, we passed in the hallway and had a conversation. What did he say? Just tell the truth. Ironically, that part didn't leak from the committee hearing, but a number of lies did. And let's also look at how these two investigations got started. One was based on evidence that was false evidence that was paid for by a political opponent of Trump as a candidate, and created a whole Russian collusion narrative that we spent millions of government tax dollars on, perpetrating this big lie that our colleagues on the other side helped promote. This one began with a laptop that Hunter Biden produced himself, and then was backed up with bank documents, and then evidence of shell companies all over the place. And then there's talk about the business, the fact that Trump's business has made money from people who stay at the hotels. Is that not shocking? I think every American expected that people in other countries where some of his hotels are might have stayed at those hotels. That is not a shocking thing. But the big difference, of course, is that President Trump and his son is not manning the reservation desk. And they're not the ones answering the call and handing it over and saying, the big guy sitting with me, would you like a room at the hotel? That is not happening. But yet for these shell companies that Hunter Biden has set up in the Biden family, that's exactly what we've seen has been happening. And I would say that money that comes into the Trump organization doesn't go directly. Now, I'm sure there's some return on the investment that the Trump family has made, but it also employs several employees that get money from what comes in. I doubt that these 20 shell companies have nearly the employees of one hotel that Trump property has. Probably not as many hotels or as many employees as you would find in the lobby, working the lobby of one of these hotels. So this is completely different. They're trying to compare apples and oranges and confuse the American people back home. It's totally not the case. And getting back to the point of today's hearing, this really is about contempt. And so what we've seen happen is Hunter Biden has come here now twice just to not speak to this committee. So contempt is defined as a lack of respect or reverence for something, a willful disobedience or open disrespect for a court, judge, and legislative body. He flew all the way over here the day he was scheduled for a deposition just to not appear and to kind of thumb his nose here at this body. Today he showed up, and the minority is trying to make the case, well, he showed up to speak. We've been here a couple times. I've been in a couple committee hearings, not nearly as many of the members here. Never have I seen a witness show up when they want to show up on any sort of thing to say, hey, I'm here to speak on what I want to speak about. That is not how Congress works. That's not how any meeting on the Hill works. That's ridiculous to think that somebody's going to be able to show up and just mandate the agenda for today's meeting, which is further evidence of why he is holding Congress in contempt. He thinks he's above the law. He thinks it has no weight on him, and understandably so for the moment, because the DOJ refuses to follow up on anything and has done their best effort to work with the IRS and other agencies to shield and protect the Biden family. This is important. We have to hold them in contempt, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Does any other member wish to be heard before we begin the amendment process?